literally is holding in the palm of your hand. I had seen it at the CES 2025 last month, and to be fair, I had seen hundreds of people playing with it at the GEEKOM stand, but not any old mini PC friendly games. We're talking proper AAA games, 2025 AAA games. Obviously, I had to try it. And nothing could have prepared me for what I've seen, nay, witnessed. Today, we are reviewing the excellent AI Mini PC GT1 MEGA from GEEKOM, a company which at only 3 years of existence is redefining how much pleasure you can hold in your hand. Starting with the obvious. Well, it is small, really small and light, which, is the whole point of a mini PC. But if you compare it to the overall design of what we've been accustomed by GEEKOM mini PCs, there have been an obvious evolution. The sanded aluminum, the curve control, the vent laser cutting screams engineering. Now, it's almost a shame to hide it, but you can easily and practically mount it behind any screens, which I have done to maximize space. But obviously, what makes the GT1 MEGA so unique, so groundbreaking, I want to say, is it absolutely obscene, monstrous CPU and what orbits around the ultra class of processors by Intel. The model I am toying with is powered by an Ultra 9 185H processor, which means 16 physical cores, 22 threads, some of which can clock up to 5.1 GHz, and that's only on the processing sides of things. On the graphical front, we have a complete ARC GPU solution with 8 dedicated computing units, 8K max resolution, ray tracing enabled, and we're still in the classical usual stuff, because the Ultra also comes with an NPU, which is specialized in doing AI stuff and can unload the CPU and GPU from doing those. And even though there are not many apps today will use those neural processing units, it really is good to have it here, because more and more we are going towards an AI-powered age, and it places this processor and this mini PC in a, I want to say, solid future-proofing posture. Where do I come up with those words? I don't know. Now, to find out what this processor can actually do, I've attacked it from different fronts. Well, first, gaming-wise, because that's what I've seen at CES, and I really wanted to, see by myself, or from myself, or I wanted to see what it can really do. With Call of Duty Black Ops 6, with medium presets, I had no problems staying around 70 FPS on 1K and a very playable and smooth 45 FPS on 2.5K. Yeah, 2.5K. On the processor taxing Black Myth Wutong, again, medium settings, anywhere between 45 to 55 FPS on 1K, and a very similar 38 to 43 in 2.5K. Doesn't really make sense, but it works. Now, on a more production-friendly environment, our Ultra 9 explodes the R23 Cinebench. It basically entails that, if you're going to do any kind of video editing, video rendering, it is ridiculously good. I have edited and rendered this entire video on it, as I usually do when I'm reviewing mini PCs and laptop, and it is by far the fastest, smoothest experience I had with something who's not a desktop computer, if that makes any sense. The Ultra class of Intel processor brings what you can do on the road to another level, either in gaming, because that game's much better than, say, a PlayStation 5, and in productivity, which is more important for me, since I am somewhat of a digital nomad, and I need to have the reassurance that I'm gonna have the computing power, the productivity abilities to keep and editing and releasing videos at a healthy pace for you guys. And that does provide that. Now, cooling-wise, the CPU and the VRM heat are evacuated by a two-segment cooler, and the harvested heat is circulated by wide copper pipe towards the massive radiating block. It is then be exhausted by this wide 60mm turbine fan. Worth noting, our VRM gets a double contact design which does provide a thermal pad intimate heat relief to both power stages and chokes alike. Now, in terms of actual thermals, after an hour-long torturous synthetic stress test, the exhaust air never went beyond the 35 degrees Celsius, pointing at a very efficient heat removal apparatus. One thing is sure, the heat is getting out faster than it is produced. The overall mini PC surface barely went above 20 degrees Celsius, meaning that the CPU produced heat is not bleeding throughout the neighboring components of the GT1 Max. Memory-wise, our GT1 Max come pre-installed with two crucial sticks of 16GB worth of DDR5 RAM, each in a dual-channel configuration, obviously more than you'll ever need for any kind of AAA gamings and your day-to-day productivity. But if you do want to use the GT1 Max for a more memory-intensive tasks such as 3D rendering, you can add up to 64GB of DDR5 RAM graded to swap data up to a very fast 5,600 million transfers per second. Now, storage-wise, the GT1 comes with two connectors, which can swap data up to an obscene 64 gigabit per second each. But the obvious limiting factor here is the heat this kind of sticks can produce, but again, a paranoiac-grade thermal care is at work here. We have this thermopadded thermal plate, which uses the mini PC roof as a massive radiating plate. Worth noting, the GT1 Max on its own comes pre-equipped with an imposing 2TB PCIe 4.0 crucial stick. I/O-wise, on the front side of things, we got a generous and very fast 4 10GB USB plugs, which will be great for immediate peripherals or gamepad-based gaming sessions. And worth noting, one of them is equipped with a fast charge ability, great for your mobile phone. On the side, we have an SD card reader, very strategic for the production-minded creators out there. But most interestingly, on the back of our GT1 Mega, we have what really takes this thing to another level. Bandwidth-wise, we get a menu of plugs including two 4.0 Type-Cs, swapping up to a ridiculous 40 gigabit per second of data each. And since it double up as a display port, you could potentially run up to 4 4K screens on that little thing. Again, amazing for production-minded users like me. But maybe what is the best part of the mini PC is its connectivity. We have a pair of 2.5 gigabit LAN, a fully operational Wi-Fi 7 dual-band adapter for fiber-graded latency, and the latest 5.4 Bluetooth module, which sounds more like a side note than anything else. This thing makes me sweat! It's not a normal I/O or back I/O, not for a desktop, not for a laptop, and somehow it shows up on a mini PC. Great I/O kudos to GEEKOM for this. Now, in conclusion, the GT1 Mega will cost you anything between $750 to $1,000 depending on your region and the specs chosen. And let me tell you this, I have been toying around mini PCs for a few videos, at least 3 to 4 years, and up to not so long ago, I was content to see out of a mini PC some serious gaming abilities and good thermals. I was satisfied with that. But GEEKOM, with this thing, the GT1 Mega, changes everything. Never ever did I ever dream to see that much computing power in such a ridiculously small form factor, and I think it all boils down to the Intel's Ultra class of processor and the leap forward it allows in terms of performances. And GEEKOM took that Ultra class of yumminess and squeezed out every bit of gaming production performances and packaged it in the sexiest aluminum envelope allowed without an ID check. And all for these good reasons. There is nowhere else your money wants and needs to be.